Welcome to this explainer. Today, we are going to completely demystify the art of persuasion. Whether you're trying to change a rigid school policy, pitch a brilliant business plan, or honestly, just convince your boss to buy a new coffee machine, success usually boils down to mastering one fundamental framework, and that is the problem-solution structure. Once you really learn this anatomy of a pitch, you're going to start seeing it everywhere. I mean, literally everywhere. In advertisements, political speeches, successful boardrooms, the whole shebang. I'm absolutely thrilled to guide you through this today, because understanding this structure, it's like having a master key to getting your ideas approved.
Okay, let's dive into this. Here's our roadmap for today. We'll explore thinking like a decision maker, the 5 proposal questions, crafting the problem statement, designing the solution, connecting problem to solution, and finally, nailing the 60-second elevator pitch. All right, section 1. Thinking like a decision maker. So before we even think about putting pen to paper, we have to understand the psychology of the people actually holding the purse strings, right? The decision makers. They're busy, they're highly protective of their resources, and they're naturally skeptical. Their internal monologue is constantly asking 2 major things. First, do we actually have a problem? And if they somehow agree that a problem exists, their very next thought is, will your solution actually work? Your entire proposal must mirror this exact logic. You really can't jump to how amazing your idea is if you haven't first convinced them that the status quo is broken. Moving on to section 2, the 5 proposal questions. To satisfy that skeptical decision maker, your proposal has to answer 5 distinct questions, and they need to be in the exact order they naturally pop up in a person's mind. Number 1, what is the specific problem? 2, why does it matter? 3, what do you actually propose to do? 4, why will your solution work? And finally, number 5, what will it cost and how long will it take? Think of these not just as questions, but as the actual structural sections of your pitch. If you leave even one of these unanswered, well, you'll leave a gap in your logic. And gaps in logic are exactly where no lives. We want to guide them effortlessly to a yes by just answering the very next logical question they're thinking of. Which brings us to section 3, crafting the problem statement. Listen, the problem statement is the absolute heart of your proposal. If you don't earn their attention right here, nothing else you say matters. A completely bulletproof statement relies on 3 critical ingredients. First, it identifies the problem specifically. We aren't talking about vague feelings here, we're talking about highly identifiable issues. Second, it provides concrete evidence. You've got to swap out personal complaints for hard data, surveys, or expert opinions. And third, it explains the consequences. Like who gets hurt or what does it cost in time, money, or morale if we just sit back and do nothing. Now, what's really interesting is the sheer difference in impact here. Just look at how specific data instantly upgrades a weak complaint. Saying cafeteria food is not very good and students are unhappy, well, that's just a feeling. A decision maker can't really act on a feeling. But if you state that a survey of 847 students shows 68% skip lunch, citing limited options, boom, you have instantly upgraded a weak whine into an undeniable reality. You've given them hard, actionable evidence. And when you have great evidence, you absolutely lead with it. Breaking down that cafeteria survey from Lincoln High School, we can see exactly where the pain points are. 42% cite limited healthy options, 31% are complaining about long wait times, and 27% point to unappealing food quality. This right here is the power of leading with your strongest, most specific evidence. Your opening should literally make the reader think, wow, I had no idea it was that bad. And then, to really drive home the consequences, you hit them with the bottom line, $48,000. Because of those complaints we just looked at, the cafeteria is operating at only 55% capacity, and that translates to $48,000 in lost annual revenue. So you've just taken a mild complaint about, bad, soggy pizza and turned it into an urgent $48,000 business problem that needs fixing today. Okay, section 4, designing the solution. So now they're nodding their heads, right? They're worried about that 48 grand. Now they're finally ready for your answer. This is the second half of the proposal equation, where we explain exactly what action we want to take. But actually, before we just start throwing ideas at the wall, we have to define the scope of work. This defines the specific tasks, the deliverables, and, most importantly, the boundaries of your proposed project. Setting clear boundaries is honestly the only way to prevent costly misunderstandings or that dreaded scope creep down the road. Here is exactly how you structure that solution. Let's look at this 12-week cafeteria improvement pilot. It's not just a vague, hey, we'll fix the food. It is broken down into highly actionable steps. Step 1, menu redesign in weeks 1 through 4. Step 2, service efficiency improvements in weeks 3 through 6. Step 3, feedback and evaluation running continuously from week 1 to 12. Notice how this structure assigns specific timeframes and implies responsible parties for every single phase. The decision maker can visualize exactly what's going to happen and when it's going to happen.
And right at the end of that solution, you set those boundaries we talked about earlier, explicitly stating what is not included, like pointing out that breakfast and vending machines are completely outside the scope of this pilot, protects your project from expanding out of control. It just manages everyone's expectations perfectly. All right, moving to section 5, connecting problem to solution.
So, the crucial point here is that just having a good problem and a good solution isn't quite enough. You have to build the connective tissue between them. Think about a disconnected solution. Let's say it fixes the wait times, but completely ignores the complaints about bad food. The reader is just left wondering about all those other issues. Instead, you want to forge an explicit link. You literally weave your survey data back into your fixes. You say, to address the 31% of students who cited long wait times, we will add a second serving line and a mobile app. Boom. You are actively proving that your solution is custom-built for their exact data. And finally, section 6, the 60-second elevator pitch.
What if you don't have the luxury of a 20-page document? Enter the elevator pitch, a brief, persuasive summary of your proposal that can be delivered in the time it takes to ride an elevator, about 60 seconds. But hey, don't let the short length fool you. It absolutely must still answer the core questions. What is the problem? What is the solution? And what is your ask?
Let's look at a masterclass example of this in real time. Imagine a student confidently walking up to a principal and pitching at a brisk, really energetic pace. Right now, 40% of freshmen are scoring below grade level in math, and most families can't afford private tutoring. We're proposing a free after-school math tutoring program run by trained high school volunteers. We've actually already recruited 15 volunteers. All we need is access to the library and $1,200 for supplies. Can we set up a meeting to discuss the details? And this brilliantly illustrates exactly why that pitch was so incredibly effective in just 15 seconds of speaking time? They hit every single mark. We have a specific, data-backed problem, 40% below grade level. A concrete solution, free tutoring. The qualifications proving it will work, 15 volunteers ready to go. A modest, clear ask, library access and $1,200. And a clear call to action, setting up a meeting. It is so effective because it leverages the exact same psychology as that multi-page proposal, just tightly compressed into a fast, punchy format.
So, I want to leave you with a bit of a challenge today. If you had 60 seconds with a decision maker right now, someone who could instantly greenlight your biggest ambition, what is the single, undeniable data point you would use to anchor your pitch? Remember, never start with how great your idea is. Start with the problem, prove it with evidence, design a clear, bounded solution, and connect the dots. Start crafting your pitch today, and I will see you in the next explainer.